Seoul is loud and bright and full of glass buildings that touch the clouds. Right in the middle of all of it stands Starrise Global, a tall silver tower that looks like it was built to remind people that some men are more powerful than others. Inside that tower, on the 32nd floor, sits Min-jae. He is 32 years old, Korean with sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, and dark eyes that rarely blink. His black hair is always perfectly combed back. He wears a perfectly fitted dark navy suit every single day. He does not smile at work. He does not laugh at work. He arrives before anyone else and leaves after everyone is gone. His desk has nothing on it except a laptop, a single pen, and a small clock. He built Starrise Global from almost nothing into one of the most talked about companies in all of Seoul. Everyone who works for him respects him. Most of them are also quietly terrified of him. Min-jae likes it that way. He does not need people to love him. He needs people to work. Love, in his mind, is something soft people invented to explain why they make bad decisions. He decided this a long time ago, after watching his parents push and pull each other like a rope in a tug-of-war for most of his childhood. He decided then, quietly, firmly, that he would never let anything or anyone have that kind of power over him. So he built walls. Tall ones. And he called them discipline. On the other side of the world, well, until 3 days ago, there is Aaliyah. Aaliyah is 24 years old, a black man from Atlanta, Georgia, with deep brown skin, wide bright eyes, a round warm face, and a smile that appears before he even decides to smile. He is not tall and intimidating. He is medium height, a little lean, always moving, always noticing things. He wears casual clothes. Today it is dark jeans, a white shirt, a tan jacket. And on the left side of that jacket, right near the collar, is a small yellow sunflower pin. His grandmother gave it to him. He has worn it every day since. Aaliyah loves to draw. He carries a sketchbook everywhere. It is beat up and thick and full of drawings of doors, faces, buildings, clouds, hands, and things most people walk past without looking at. He has wanted to work in design since he was 9 years old, sitting at his grandma's kitchen table with a broken crayon. He saved money for 3 years. Took every extra shift. Ate the cheapest meals. Learned basic Korean on a free app on his phone during his lunch breaks. And when Starrise Global posted an opening for a junior art designer, he sent in his portfolio and did not sleep for 2 nights waiting to hear back. He got the job. This is his first day. He is standing in the lobby of the Silver Tower with his badge still in the plastic wrap, his sketchbook tucked under his arm, and his eyes going in every direction at once. The lobby is enormous. The ceiling is high. There are people in expensive shoes walking fast and looking at phones and not smiling. Aaliyah smiles anyway. He cannot help it. He finds the elevator. Or he thinks he finds the elevator. He steps in. The doors close. The elevator is very quiet and very clean and has soft lighting and a small screen on the wall showing the Starrise Global logo. Aaliyah looks around. He thinks, this elevator is nicer than my old apartment. Then the doors open again, not at his floor but at the lobby level, and a man walks in. Min-jae. He looks at Aaliyah. Aaliyah looks at him. There is a half second where neither of them moves. Aaliyah smiles, the automatic kind, and says, "Nice elevator. Does it come with breakfast?" Min-jae stares straight ahead. Says nothing. The doors close. But deep in his chest something shifts. Just slightly. Just once. The first week at Starrise Global should have been simple for Aaliyah. Show up. Learn the system. Do the work. Stay quiet. Try not to embarrass himself in front of people who have worked and sold their whole lives. That was the plan. The plan did not survive. On Tuesday, Aaliyah takes the wrong hallway on the way to the break room and ends up standing outside Min-jae's private office holding a full cup of coffee. He hears a door open somewhere behind him, startles, and the coffee tips, not on him, not on Min-jae, but directly onto the floor right in front of Min-jae's door, spreading like a small brown ocean across the clean white tile. Min-jae's assistant, a woman named Chai-Lin, appears out of nowhere with wide eyes and a cloth. She stares at Aaliyah. Aaliyah stares at the coffee. He says, "I was looking for the break room." Chai-Lin points silently down the opposite hallway. Aaliyah nods. He walks away with great dignity. He does not look back. On Wednesday, Aaliyah walks into the wrong meeting. He sits down at the big oval table because there were open chairs and he thought it was the junior design briefing. He gets his sketchbook out. He looks up. Every single person at the table is in a dark suit. There are at least 15 of them. The presentation on the wall screen is titled Q3 Revenue Projections, Board Overview. Aaliyah slowly puts his sketchbook back. The man at the head of the table, not Min-jae thankfully, looks at him and says, "Who are you?" Aaliyah says very calmly, I am extremely lost. Someone almost laughs. Aaliyah excuses himself and does not stop walking for a full 2 minutes. On Thursday, Aaliyah is doodling during his actual lunch break. He draws a quick cartoon of the Starrise building, but he gives it a tiny face, little arms, and makes it look slightly grumpy. He writes "Soul, you are a lot" under it in small letters. He sticks it to the edge of his design desk as a joke reminder to himself. Somehow, through a series of desk mix-ups and a mail system that Aaliyah still does not fully understand, the sticky note ends up on Min-jae's desk. Friday morning, Aaliyah gets called to the 32nd floor. He stands outside Min-jae's office for 60 full seconds before knocking. He is already rehearsing the apology. He is already imagining being escorted from the building. He knocks. "Come in." Min-jae is sitting at his clean desk. The laptop is open. The single pen is in its place. And there, between the laptop and the small clock, is the sticky note. Min-jae picks it up. He holds it up so Aaliyah can see it. "You drew this." Aaliyah wants the floor to open. "Yes, sir." "I'm so sorry, sir. I don't even know how it got there. I promise I wasn't trying to." "It is good," Min-jae says. Quiet. Flat. Like a fact. Aaliyah stops talking. Min-jae sets the sticky note back down. "You can go." Aaliyah goes. In the elevator, the regular one this time, he stands very still and processes what just happened. He was not fired. He was not yelled at. The most intimidating man he has ever been in the same room with looked at his silly little doodle and said it is good. He looks down at his sunflower pin. He straightens it. When he gets back to his desk, he opens his sketchbook to a fresh page and draws Min-jae's expression from memory. The flat eyes. The hard jaw. The way his mouth didn't move but something behind his eyes did. He stares at the drawing for a long time. Then he closes the sketchbook and gets back to work. Up on the 32nd floor, Min-jae is also getting back to work. His desk is clean. The laptop is open. The single pen is in place. And the sticky note is still there. He did not throw it away. Min-jae is not a man who notices things he does not need to notice. He notices revenue numbers. He notices when a contract has a weak clause. He notices when a staff member is underperforming before they know it themselves. These are useful things. These are things that keep the company running and the money growing and the tower standing. He does not notice sunflower pins. Except now he does. It starts small. He is walking through the open design floor on his way to a meeting. He sometimes takes the long way without fully admitting to himself why, and he sees Aaliyah at his desk, bent over his sketchbook, sunflower pin catching the overhead light. Aaliyah does not see him. He is drawing something, lips pressed together, completely locked in. Min-jae keeps walking. He is 4 steps past Aaliyah's desk before he realizes he slowed down. He does not slow down for anything. He walks faster. The next day he takes the regular elevator. It is the first time in 2 years. He tells himself it is because the private one is being serviced. This is not true. The private elevator is working perfectly. Aaliyah is in the regular elevator. Of course he is. He is holding his sketchbook and talking to a woman from the finance team, asking her what her name is, actually listening to the answer, repeating it back. Jiyeon. Got it. I'll remember that. Jiyeon looks surprised, the good kind. People at Starrise Global do not usually ask each other's names unless it is on a contract. Min-jae stands at the back of the elevator and says nothing. But he watches. And he thinks something he cannot quite name. Something that sits between confusion and warmth and something else he is not ready to look at directly. Over the following days he starts to notice more things. Aaliyah knows the name of the man who waters the lobby plants. He learned it on day 2. He knows which security guard likes football and which one is trying to learn guitar. He brings an extra coffee for whoever is working late in the design room and does not announce it. He just leaves it there. Min-jae has worked in this building for 7 years. He does not know the name of the man who waters the lobby plants. He finds this information disturbing in a way he cannot explain. One afternoon he passes the small kitchen near the design floor. Through the open door he hears Aaliyah laughing at something someone said. It is not a polite laugh, not the kind people do at work when they want to seem easy to get along with. It is a real one. Loud. A little uncontrolled. The kind of laugh that comes from somewhere deep and does not ask permission. Min-jae stops walking. He stands in the hallway for approximately 4 seconds. Then he walks away. Quickly. Back in his office he sits down. He opens his laptop. He stares at numbers. The numbers are fine. The company is fine. Everything is fine. He glances at the corner of his desk. The sticky note is still there. He does not know why he hasn't thrown it away. It is a doodle on a yellow piece of paper. It is not important. It means nothing. He keeps a completely clean desk because clutter interferes with clarity and clarity is everything. You should throw it away. He does not throw it away. He closes his laptop and walks to the window and looks out at Seoul. The city is all light and motion and glass below him. He has looked at this view 10,000 times. It has never once made him feel anything. Right now something small and unfamiliar is sitting inside his chest like a pebble in a shoe. Not painful. Just there. Noticeable. Impossible to ignore once you've noticed it. He does not name it. He straightens his jacket cuff. He picks up his pen. He goes back to work. But the next morning he takes the regular elevator again. It is a Thursday evening and almost everyone has gone home. The design floor is mostly dark. Half the ceiling lights have switched off automatically, leaving only the glow of 2 desk lamps. One at Aaliyah's workstation, one all the way across the room near the printer that nobody turned off. The cleaning crew has already come and gone. The city hums 30 floors below. Aaliyah is still there because the campaign presentation is due Friday morning and the layout keeps doing something wrong that he cannot figure out. He has restarted the file 4 times. He has eaten half a granola bar from his bag and forgotten about the other half. His sketchbook is open beside his keyboard with rough thumbnail ideas scratched out in pencil. He does not know that Min-jae is still there too. Min-jae is always still there. The 32nd floor never fully powers down when he is in the building. But tonight he comes downstairs, not for any particular reason he has decided to acknowledge, and finds the design floor half dark with one lamp still glowing. He stops at the entrance. Aaliyah looks up. For a second they both just exist in the quiet. "You're still here?" Min-jae says. "Not a question. Just an observation." "Presentation's not right yet," Aaliyah says. He turns the monitor a little so Min-jae can see the layout. The spacing keeps breaking on the 3rd panel. "I've tried everything." Min-jae walks over. He looks at the screen. He points, without touching anything, at the margin settings on the right side. "Your grid anchor is wrong. Reset from the base template." Aaliyah stares at the screen. He clicks twice. The layout snaps perfectly into place. He lets out a long breath. "I have been fighting that for 2 hours." "I know," Min-jae says. Aaliyah looks at him. "How do you know?" Min-jae pulls out the chair across from Aaliyah's desk and sits down. He does not explain how he knows. He just sits there, which is already the most surprising thing he has done all week. And then they talk. It starts with the presentation. Then it becomes the company, how long Min-jae built it, what it looked like before the tower. Then somehow, and Aaliyah is not totally sure how this happens, it becomes Atlanta. Aaliyah tells him about growing up on a street where everyone knew each other's business and nobody locked their doors before 9. About his grandmother's kitchen that always smelled like something good cooking even when nothing was on the stove. About how she used to save the cardboard backs from cereal boxes so Aaliyah could draw on them when they ran out of paper. About how one afternoon he drew a whole city on 3 cereal box backs taped together and his grandmother put it on the wall and never took it down. "She still has it," Aaliyah says. He is smiling. The lamp light is warm on his face. "She sends me a picture of it sometimes. Just to remind me where this all started." Min-jae is listening. Fully. Not the way people listen at meetings, not waiting for the useful part so they can respond. Really listening. Like every word is going somewhere inside him and staying. "And your parents?" he asks. Aaliyah's smile holds but shifts slightly. "They weren't really around. It was mostly me and Grandma." A beat. It was enough. She's a lot of person. Min-jae nods slowly. He does not offer pity. Aaliyah is grateful for that. They sit in the half-dark for another while. Not talking. Not uncomfortable. Just there. Eventually Aaliyah saves the file, packs his sketchbook and says good night. Min-jae watches him go. When the elevator doors close, the floor is fully silent. Min-jae sits in Aaliyah's empty chair for a moment. He thinks about one thing. That sunflower pin. Something changes after that night, though neither of them says so out loud. Min-jae begins routing specific projects to Aaliyah. Not the small stuff, not the background work that junior designers usually get. He sends him the campaign that will go on the front page of Starrise Global's annual report. He assigns him the rebranding concept for a new product line. He sends notes through Chai-Lin. "Mr. Park would like your visual direction on this." Full creative control. And Aaliyah reads the notes twice each time just to make sure he is reading them right. Full creative control. He has never had that before. Not at any job. Not anywhere. He stays late willingly now. Not because something is broken. Because he is building something and it is actually his. The office people notice. Of course they do. Starrise Global has hundreds of employees and roughly that many opinions. The whispers start soft. Why does he keep getting the good projects? And get a little louder. Have you noticed the CEO takes the regular elevator now? Aaliyah hears some of it. He does not respond to any of it. He puts his head down and works. Then the book appears. Aaliyah comes in one Monday morning and there is something on his desk that was not there Friday. A hardcover book, thick with a deep blue cover. The History of Korean Visual Art. There is a sticky note on the front. Just a floor number and page 47. He turns to page 47. It is a full-page print of a traditional Korean painting from the 18th century. A man sitting alone on a hilltop looking down at a river valley below, the colors all earthy gold and soft green. The figure is small in the landscape. The world around him is enormous. Aaliyah stares at it for a long time. Then he opens his sketchbook to a drawing he did 4 weeks ago, one of his first nights in Seoul when he felt small and far from home. A figure sitting on the roof of his old apartment building, the city enormous below him. The two images are not identical, but they speak the same language. He closes both. He holds them together in his hands for a moment. His heart does something it hasn't done in a long time. The company dinner is 2 weeks later. It is a formal event. Long table, dark room, expensive food, speeches. Aaliyah is not senior staff. He has no real reason to be there. The invitation arrives anyway through Chai-Lin again with his name handwritten at the top. Seat 2. Seat 2 is directly beside Min-jae. The dinner is long. The speeches are longer. But at some point during the second course the table noise rises and Aaliyah and Min-jae end up in the small quiet space that exists between two people at a loud table who have turned slightly toward each other. They talk about the campaign. Then about the painting on page 47. Min-jae tells him about the painter. A man who spent 20 years working in obscurity before anyone paid attention. He kept working anyway, Min-jae says. That is why the work is good. It was never for anyone else. Aaliyah looks at him for a moment. That sounds like something you know from experience. Min-jae picks up his glass. He does not confirm or deny it. But something small moves at the corner of his mouth. It is not quite a smile. But it is close. Close enough that Aaliyah sees it and feels his whole chest get warm and immediately thinks, oh no. He looks back at his food. He thinks about the elevator. The sticky note. The book. The seat with his name on it. He thinks, oh no, oh no, oh no. Because he is falling and he knows it and there is absolutely nothing he can do about it. There are weeks between the dinner and what happens next. Weeks of late nights where the 32nd floor and the design floor are both still lit up long after everyone else has gone home. Weeks of Min-jae appearing at Aaliyah's desk with a correction that turns into a conversation that turns into an hour neither of them planned. Weeks of Min-jae slowly, carefully, like someone removing stones from a wall one at a time, telling Aaliyah things he does not tell anyone. About his father, who ran a smaller business and considered anything less than perfection a personal insult. Who used love like a reward, something you earn by performing correctly. Aaliyah listens and does not say I'm sorry like most people do. He just nods and says, that's a heavy thing to carry into a building you built yourself. Min-jae goes quiet for a long time after that. Then he says, yes, it is. He sounds almost relieved. About his mother, who was warm but tired, always caught between her husband's expectations and her son's feelings, never quite able to hold both at the same time. About how Min-jae learned very early that being needed was safer than being loved, because being needed had clear conditions and love had none. Aaliyah draws while Min-jae talks sometimes. Not distracted, focused. Like the drawing is how he listens. Min-jae notices this. He does not mind it. Somehow he finds it easier to speak when Aaliyah's eyes are on the page rather than on him. One night Aaliyah shows Min-jae the drawing he made of him on that very first day. The flat eyes. The hard jaw. The something behind their eyes. Min-jae looks at it for a long time. That is what I look like? That's what you looked like, Aaliyah says. You look different now. Min-jae looks up. Aaliyah is already looking at him. Not coyly. Not carefully. Just directly, the way Aaliyah does everything, with his whole self present and nothing hidden. The moment stretches. And then Aaliyah says it. I think I really like you. Like a lot. And I know that's probably the most unprofessional thing I've ever said, and if you need me to take it back I will try, but I'm not sure I can do it convincingly because it's very true. He is looking at the desk by the end of it. Min-jae says, I know. Aaliyah looks up. You know? I like you too. I have for a long time. It is said the way Min-jae says everything, flat, factual, no decoration. But his eyes are different. Softer than Aaliyah has ever seen them. The wall is still there, but there is a door in it now, and the door is open. Aaliyah laughs. Not a nervous laugh. Not a surprised laugh. The real one, the deep one from somewhere that doesn't ask permission. It fills the room. Min-jae watches him laugh and feels something he cannot name. Something warm and strange and terrifying, and he does not move away from it this time. They don't make a big announcement. They don't do anything dramatic. They just become something, slowly, quietly, the way important things usually begin. A walk to the elevator that takes longer than it needs to. A coffee left on a desk with no note because no note is needed anymore. A late night where neither of them pretends they stayed for the work. It is theirs. Just theirs. Small and new and real. Aaliyah draws a new picture of Min-jae. This one is different. The jaw is the same. The cheekbones are the same. But the eyes are open in a way the first drawing never captured. Like someone who has been standing in a closed room and just found a window. He does not show it to Min-jae yet. He puts it on the very last page of his sketchbook. He saves the last page for the things he wants to keep. Dojin has known Min-jae since they were both 12 years old. He is 33, Korean with a square jaw, an easy laugh, and the kind of face people trust immediately. He wears good suits and remembers everyone's birthday and always has a joke ready for any silence. He has been at Starrise Global for 6 years. He has a senior title and a corner office on the 28th floor. To almost everyone he is Min-jae's best friend. To himself, if he is fully honest, which he rarely is, he has always been just slightly behind Min-jae in everything. And it has always quietly burned. When Min-jae was cold and unreachable, Dojin was fine. He was the charming one. The easy one. People liked him and pitted Min-jae, and that felt like its own small victory. But now Min-jae is different. Now Min-jae laughs, quietly, briefly, but he laughs. Now Min-jae lingers in conversations. Now there is a warmth coming off him that was never there before, and everyone in the building feels it even if they cannot name it. And the reason has a sunflower pin and a sketchbook. Dojin watches. He smiles when he is supposed to smile. He even tells Aaliyah once in the break room that his campaign work is impressive. Aaliyah thanks him warmly and means it. Dojin smiles and goes back to his office and sits with something ugly for a long time. He knows about the sketches. Aaliyah mentioned once in a group conversation that he made personal drawings sometimes for people he cared about, not portfolio work, private ones. Dojin files this away. One evening he stays late. He accesses Aaliyah's shared drive folder. He has the clearance technically, though not for this purpose, and he finds the personal sketches. Soft, careful, intimate drawings that Aaliyah made for Min-jae. A drawing of Min-jae by a window. Min-jae's hands around a coffee cup. A drawing of two people in an elevator. Dojin takes copies. He sends them to a gossip site that covers Seoul's corporate world alongside a story he writes himself. That Aaliyah, a foreign junior employee with no credentials, seduced his way into the CEO's trust in order to access and sell proprietary design concepts to a rival company. He keeps his name off it completely. He routes it through an account that cannot be traced back to him. At least, he believes it cannot. The story goes up at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. By Thursday morning it is everywhere. The board members see it before Min-jae does. By the time Min-jae arrives at 7 a.m. the messages are already waiting. 12 of them from 6 different board members, all saying the same thing in different words. This is a liability. He needs to go. Today. The emergency meeting happens at 10 a.m. Min-jae sits at the head of a table full of men who are not asking questions. They are delivering a conclusion. They have already decided. They say the word liability 11 times. They say reputation 7 times. They do not say Aaliyah's name once. Min-jae sits there. He thinks about the elevator. The sticky note he never threw away. Page 47. The laugh that filled rooms. The drawing on the last page of the sketchbook. He thinks about how much he has built. How many years. How many walls. And the old fear, the one from childhood, the one that said being needed is safer than being loved, rises up like cold water. He says nothing. Not one word in Aaliyah's defense. The meeting ends. People file out. Min-jae sits alone at the long table for 4 minutes. He already knows what he has done. He already knows it is wrong. He already knows it is too late. Aaliyah finds out at 9 p.m. that night. Not from Min-jae. Not from a call or a message or even a rumor passed carefully through a friend. He finds out because someone from the design team texted him a screenshot of the article with no comment. Just the link and 3 question marks. He reads it once. Then he reads it again. Then he sits on the floor of his apartment, not on the couch, on the floor with his back against the bed, and he stares at the wall. The sketches are there. His sketches. Personal ones. Ones he made in the quiet of late evenings when the office was empty and something real was growing and he thought, he actually believed, that it was safe. He does not cry that night. He is too still for crying. He thinks about every moment he chose to trust. The elevator. The sticky note. Page 47. The dinner seat with his name on it. Every conversation that went longer than it needed to. Every time he told himself that Min-jae was different from what the world usually gave him. He thinks about the board meeting he was not in. He thinks about Min-jae sitting at that table. He thinks about the silence. He gets up at 6 a.m. and goes to the office. He packs slowly. His sketchbook. The pencils in the cup on the right side of his desk. A small framed photo of his grandmother he kept in the left drawer. The blue art history book, he pauses on this one then puts it in the box. He straightens his workstation. He does not leave a mess. He takes the sunflower pin off his jacket. He holds it for a moment. He puts it back on. He picks up the box. He walks to the elevator. The doors open. Min-jae is standing inside. He is still in the same suit from yesterday. His hair is slightly less perfect. He looks like a man who has not slept and knows exactly why. They look at each other. Aaliyah steps inside. The doors close. Just the two of them the way it started. The silence is different from the first time. The first time it was two strangers in a neutral space. This silence has weight. This silence knows things. Aaliyah does not raise his voice. He does not say everything he could say. He holds his box and he looks at Min-jae and he says 4 words, quietly, like a door closing gently rather than slamming. I trusted you. Min-jae's jaw moves. His mouth opens. He is a man who has spent his whole life knowing exactly what to say in any room to any person about anything. He has nothing. Not because he does not feel it. Because he feels too much of it and all of it is shame and all the words are buried under it and by the time he finds any of them the elevator is already at the ground floor. The doors open. Aaliyah walks out. He does not look back. He does not need to. He already knows what is behind him. He already drew that picture. The man in the elevator who almost smiled. The man who looked at something precious and then looked away when it cost something. Min-jae stands in the elevator alone as the doors try to close and open again because no one pressed the floor. He presses the button for 32. He rises. The lobby below gets smaller. Aaliyah is already gone. Min-jae goes to work. He does what he always does. He arrives early, opens the laptop, picks up the pen, reads through the morning numbers. He takes meetings. He answers emails. He makes 3 decisions before noon that will probably make the company more money. The company does not care that he is falling apart inside. That is what he always liked about it. Today he cannot remember why. By Tuesday Aaliyah's workstation has been cleared and reassigned. Someone from HR put a new nameplate in the slot. Min-jae walks past it at 7 a.m. when the floor is empty. He stops. He stares at the new name. He keeps walking. By Wednesday he has sent 2 messages to Aaliyah's personal number. Not long ones. Just, I need to explain. And then, a day later. I know you don't have to respond. I just need you to know I am sorry. No response. Read receipts off. He does not know if they were delivered or if Aaliyah has a new number entirely. He goes to the apartment building. He knows the address from a company HR form he has absolutely no legitimate reason to have memorized. He stands outside on the street. He goes to the front desk. The woman at the desk tells him the tenant in that unit moved out 4 days ago. She does not know where. Min-jae walks back outside and stands on the street for a while. Seoul moves around him. Taxis and delivery bikes and people walking fast with coffees and everywhere the ordinary noise of a city that does not stop for private grief. He stands in the middle of it like a man who has just discovered he is not as waterproof as he believed. He goes home. His apartment is large and very clean and very quiet. He has always liked it quiet. He has always liked coming home to a space where nothing is unexpected and nothing is loud and everything is in its place. Tonight the quiet is different. Tonight the quiet is not peaceful. It is the kind of quiet that comes after something ends, not restful, just empty. The absence of something that was just there. He sits on the floor against the couch. He does not know when he got down there. He is still in his suit. He thinks about Aaliyah saying I trusted you without raising his voice. With full composure. Like he had already made peace with the fact that trust was a risk and this time the risk had not paid off. No explosion. No accusation. Just the truth, delivered quietly, because Aaliyah had too much dignity to fall apart in front of the person who had let him down. Min-jae thinks about what it took to do that. He thinks about all the things he did not say in that boardroom. Every sentence he could have formed. Every word that was true. The story is false. He is not what they are calling him. I know who he is. Simple. Factual. True. He could have said all of it. Instead he said nothing and let the silence do the damage. He is crying before he realizes it is happening. He has not cried since he was 19 years old at his father's funeral, not from grief, but from confusion about whether what he felt was grief or relief or both. He learned to keep things tightly held after that. Now they come loose. He does not stop them. He sits on the floor of his large clean quiet apartment and he cries for the sticky note he kept. Page 47. For the dinner where Min-jae almost smiled and Aaliyah saw it and said nothing because some things do not need to be spoken to be understood. He cries because he had something real. And he chose fear. The studio apartment is small. One window. One bed. A kitchen the size of a hallway. Aaliyah found it in 2 days because he could not stay in the old place. Too close to everything, too easy to imagine running into someone he was not ready to see. The new apartment has a radiator that clicks every morning at 6 a.m. and a neighbor upstairs who walks with heavy feet and a view of another building's back wall. It is not beautiful. But it is his and nobody from Starrise Global knows where it is. He does not draw for the first 11 days. This is unusual for Aaliyah. He has drawn through every hard thing that ever happened to him. He drew through loneliness in high school. He drew through the months after his grandmother's health scare. He drew on the plane to Seoul when he was too nervous to sleep. The sketchbook has always been the place where things become manageable, where confusion becomes a line and loss becomes a shape and feelings become something you can look at and hold at arm's length. But for 11 days the sketchbook stays in the box. He calls his grandmother every night. She picks up on the first ring always like she has been waiting. He does not tell her everything. He tells her enough. She listens the way she always has, without rushing to fix, without flinching at the hard parts. On the 4th night she says, "Baby, people showing you who they are is not the end of your story. It is just a chapter." He does not feel better immediately. But he writes it down on a scrap of paper and tapes it to the one window. On day 12 he draws a flower. Small. Just on the corner of a takeout bag. He almost throws it away then doesn't. On day 15 he draws a door. A real one, the door of his grandmother's house in Atlanta with the scratch at the bottom left corner from when he was 7 and kicked it by accident and was so worried she would be angry. She never was. On day 20 he opens the sketchbook. He fills 4 pages in one sitting. Then 6 more the next day. Big sweeping things full of Seoul streets and night light and the feeling of being small in an enormous place and finding yourself there anyway. He puts 12 pieces on an online portfolio he builds himself over a weekend. By Monday it has been shared 400 times. By the following Thursday a small gallery owner in the Mapo district sends him an email. "Your work is honest in a way I don't see often. We have a 3-week slot opening in 6 weeks. Would you consider filling it?" Aaliyah reads the email 3 times. He thinks about his grandmother's wall. The cereal box city. Being 9 years old and not knowing yet that the world would try to make him small but doing the work anyway. He types back, "Yes. I would like that very much." He names the show twice. He does not explain the title publicly. But every piece is built around the same idea, the things you walk past and have to come back to. A door seen from 2 angles. A face in motion and then still. A building at dawn and again at dusk. Looking once and then choosing to look again. He works on it every morning before the city wakes up. He works in the clicking radiator quiet and the neighbor's heavy footsteps and the narrow light through the one window. He does not work for Min-jae. He does not work against him. He works because the sketchbook has always been the truest place he knows and he is not willing to let anyone, not Dojin, not a board meeting, not silence from someone who should have spoken, take that place away from him. He is healing. Not fast. Not in a straight line. But real. Min-jae does not know how to do nothing. This is both his greatest strength and the thing that has cost him the most. He has never been able to sit in a problem without turning it into a project. He has never looked at something broken and decided to leave it broken. It is why he is good at running a company. It is also why his apartment is full of things that work perfectly and why he has never learned to simply rest. He cannot fix what he did in that boardroom. He has accepted this. The silence was his and he owns it. But he can find out what actually happened. He starts with the article. He traces the publishing account. It is a ghost account created 48 hours before the post went up. Dead end publicly. Not a dead end if you have access to IP routing records and a very loyal head of IT who owes you several significant favors. It takes 11 days. Everything points to Dojin. Min-jae sits with the file for a full day before he opens it again. He makes coffee he does not drink. He stands at the window for a long time. He thinks about 12 years old and being new to a school where nobody talked to him except one boy with an easy laugh and fast jokes who walked over on the first day and said, "You look like you need someone to show you where the good lunch table is." He thinks about 20 years of that laugh in the background of his life. 20 years of assuming that constancy was the same as loyalty. They are not the same thing. He opens the file. Email records. A server access log from the night Aaliyah's private folder was opened. Routing data for the ghost account. Everything signed, time-stamped, undeniable. He calls a full board meeting. The same room. The same long table. The same faces that sat there and said liability 11 times. Min-jae is calmer than they have ever seen him. No raised voice. No visible anger. He opens the file. He walks them through each piece of evidence with the same flat precision he uses on quarterly reviews. He does not editorialize. He does not ask for their opinions. He simply presents facts until the room has nothing left to say. Dojin is sitting at the far end of the table. His easy laugh is nowhere. His square jaw is tight. He tries 3 times to reframe. "I was worried about the company's security, I thought." Min-jae does not let him finish any of it. "I have already sent everything to legal," Min-jae says. "And to the press." The room is silent. "He will be removed effective today," Min-jae continues. "And I want the full retraction filing to go out before the end of this week so that the record is corrected clearly and publicly." He pauses. He looks at every person at that table. One at a time. "I also owe someone a public apology," he says. "I stayed quiet in this room when I should have been loud. I let fear make a decision that was not fear's to make. That will never happen again." No one responds. Dojin is walked out by legal within the hour. Min-jae sits at the empty table after everyone has filed out. The same way Aaliyah sat on the floor of a small apartment on day 1. Just with it. Not rushing past it. He took down one wall today. Not the most important one. The most important one he broke himself 3 weeks ago in an elevator. But this was something. This was choosing loudness when he had already been too quiet. He gets up. He goes back to his office. He sits at his desk, the clean one with the single pen and the small clock. The sticky note is still there. He picks it up and looks at it for a long time. The show opens on a Thursday evening in late autumn. The gallery is small, white walls, warm lighting, 12 large pieces hung with careful spacing. Outside the Mapo district hums the way Seoul always does. Taxis, street food carts, the distant rhythm of a city that keeps moving. Inside it is quiet. The good kind. People come. More than Aaliyah expected. He stands near the back in dark trousers, a clean white shirt, sunflower pinned back on the left collar, and watches people stop in front of his work and take their time with it. A woman in front of the door painting leans forward and stays there for 3 minutes without moving. 2 young men study the building at dawn piece and speak quietly to each other. An older man writes something in the small notebook he brought. Aaliyah watches all of it and feels something settle in his chest that has been loose for weeks. He did not invite anyone from his former life. This was not an accident. And then the door opens. He sees Min-jae before Min-jae sees him. Min-jae is alone. No Chai-lin. No assistant. No suit. Just a dark coat, the kind you wear when you are not trying to look like anything in particular. He is holding something small and yellow. A single sunflower. Aaliyah does not move. Min-jae does not look for him immediately. He steps inside and looks at the title card by the entrance, twice, and then he begins to walk. He walks the gallery the way he once listened in a half-dark office. Completely. Every piece. He does not rush. He does not pull out his phone. He stands in front of the door painting for almost as long as the woman earlier. He stands in front of the figure in the city piece, the one that started as a feeling from Aaliyah's first weeks in Seoul, small against something enormous, for even longer. Then he reaches the last piece. It is the biggest. It fills almost the whole end wall. An elevator. Silver doors. Warm interior light. 2 figures inside, one laughing, one almost smiling. The angle is from the side, like you are standing just outside the doors before they close. Like you are catching a private moment before the world moves on. Min-jae stands in front of it for a long time. Long enough that a few gallery visitors glance at him and then away. Then he turns. He finds Aaliyah across the room. He knew where he was the whole time, in the way you always know where the most important thing in a room is even when you're looking at everything else. He walks over. He stops in front of Aaliyah. He holds out the sunflower. He says, "I was a coward. And I am sorry. Not to get you back. Not for any reason except that you deserved better and I gave you less, and I needed you to hear me say that out loud where it counts." Aaliyah looks at him. He looks at Min-jae, The sharp jaw, the dark eyes, the perfectly composed face with something real moving just underneath it the way it always has, since that first morning in the elevator when he almost smiled and looked away. He looks at the sunflower. He is quiet for a long moment. Then he takes it. Not running. Not closing the distance. Just receiving it. Both hands around the stem. Looking at it. "I know," he says. 2 words. The same 2 words Min-jae once said back to him in a quiet office when love was still just becoming. The same weight. The same simple truth. Min-jae exhales. Slowly. Like something that has been held very tightly for a long time has been allowed to loosen. Around them Seoul hums on. The gallery fills and empties and fills again. The painting on the end wall glows under warm lighting. 2 people in an elevator. One almost smiling. They do not leave the gallery holding hands. They leave separately. Aaliyah stays to thank the gallery owner and say goodbye to a few visitors who want to talk about the work. Min-jae waits outside on the pavement, hands in his coat pockets, watching Seoul move. When Aaliyah finally comes out, he falls into step beside him without a word and they walk to a small coffee shop 2 blocks away that neither of them has been to before. They sit across from each other in a booth by the window. The coffees come. They sit with them for a moment. Outside the glass Seoul does its nighttime thing. Lights and motion and people who have places to be. In here it is warm and quiet and neither of them is pretending. "Tell me what happened," Aaliyah says. Min-jae does. All of it. Dojin and the files and the IP trail. The 11 days of research. The board meeting and the evidence and the moment he said I have already sent everything to legal and watched Dojin's face do the thing faces do when there is nowhere left to go. The retraction goes out Friday, Min-jae says. Publicly. With a full explanation. Your name cleared completely. Aaliyah nods slowly. He turns his coffee cup in both hands. That's good. Thank you for doing that. It was the minimum, Min-jae says. A silence. Why didn't you defend me when it happened? Aaliyah asks. Not angry. Not sharp. Just the question placed on the table between them like something that needs to be looked at directly. Min-jae looks at his coffee. Then at Aaliyah. Because I was scared, he says. I have built everything I have by not needing anything. By being the one who doesn't, he pauses, who doesn't require anything from anyone. And then there was you. And you were the first thing in a long time that I could lose. Really lose. Not lose money or a deal or a contract. Lose something that. He stops. He sets his cup down. I had never loved anything more than the company before. And then you were there and I had no idea what to do with that. Aaliyah is quiet. The coffee shop hums. Someone laughs at another table. The window fogs slightly at the edges. And now? Aaliyah asks. Min-jae looks at him without blinking. Now I would let the company burn to the ground before I let someone hurt you and I say nothing. Aaliyah holds his coffee cup. He looks at Min-jae. Really looks the way he drew him on that first day, the way he has always looked at things he wants to understand fully. I believe you, he says finally. And I want to try. But I need us to go slow. However slow you need, Min-jae says. And he means it the way you mean things when you have already learned the cost of saying less. They finish their coffees. They walk out into the Seoul night. They do not hold hands. They walk close enough that their arms nearly touch. At the corner where they need to go in different directions, Aaliyah looks at the sunflower he is still carrying. The painting sold, he says. The elevator one. I know, Min-jae says. I bought it. Aaliyah stares at him. Min-jae looks completely unbothered by this information. It belongs where someone will look at it properly, he says. Aaliyah makes a noise that is almost a laugh. Not the full one yet, not the real deep one. But almost. Good night, Min-jae. Good night, Aaliyah. They walk in their 2 directions. The sunflower is still in Aaliyah's hand. The retraction goes out on a Friday morning at 9 a.m. It is thorough. It names the original story as false. It attributes the leak and fabrication to a former senior employee at Starrise Global, Dojin, named fully without softening, who has been removed from the company and referred to legal authorities. It states clearly and without qualification that Aaliyah committed no wrongdoing of any kind. Min-jae wrote it himself. By noon it has been picked up by 4 Seoul business news sites. By the following Monday it is a small story in its own right, not because corporate retractions are unusual, but because the way this one reads is. It does not sound like a legal document. It sounds like a man who has decided to be honest regardless of what it cost him publicly. Readers notice this. Then someone links the retraction to Aaliyah's online portfolio. Then someone else links the portfolio to twice. By Wednesday the gallery is fully booked through its remaining 2 weeks. The gallery owner calls Aaliyah twice in one morning, once to tell him about the bookings, once just to say I told you your work was honest. Aaliyah laughs on both calls. 3 of the 12 pieces sell by the end of the first week. The elevator painting sells first. It sells to a private buyer whose name is not released publicly. But Aaliyah already knows. The money from the sales is more than Aaliyah made in his last full year of working. He sits with that number for a while. He thinks about the 3 years of extra shifts, the cheap meals, the free app on his phone teaching him Korean words during his lunch breaks. He opens his laptop and buys his grandmother a plane ticket to Seoul. She arrives on a Tuesday afternoon in a yellow coat with a carry-on bag that weighs more than she does and eyes that take an Incheon airport like she has been planning this trip her whole life. Aaliyah is waiting at arrivals with a sign that says Grandma in large letters and a sunflower drawn beside the letters. She sees him and walks faster. When she hugs him, she holds on for a long time. He lets her. Show me everything, she says. He does. They spend 2 weeks walking Seoul together. She insists on trying every food that is placed in front of her. She buys a small ceramic bowl from a market stall and carries it the rest of the day wrapped in her yellow scarf. She stands in front of the elevator painting, now hanging in Min-jae's apartment, though she does not know this yet, at the gallery and says, "You painted that feeling, baby. That in-between feeling. That's hard to do." On the last night, Min-jae comes to dinner. He arrives exactly on time, wearing a dark jacket, not the full suit, a concession to the casual setting that Aaliyah notices and appreciates. He has flowers. He is visibly nervous in a way that Aaliyah has never seen before. Min-jae, who faces boardrooms and billion-1 decisions without changing his expression, is sitting across from a 71-year-old woman from Atlanta in a small restaurant and his back is completely rigid. Aaliyah's grandmother looks at Min-jae across the table for a very long time. Min-jae meets her gaze steadily. She says, "You better not make my grandbaby cry again." Min-jae says with full seriousness, "I will not." She holds his gaze for another moment. Then she nods. "Good. Now eat your food." Aaliyah covers his face with both hands and laughs. The real one. The full one. The deep one that comes from somewhere that doesn't ask permission. It shakes his shoulders. It fills the restaurant. Min-jae looks at him. And he smiles. Not almost. Not close to smiling. Not a small movement at the corner of his mouth. A real one. Large and unguarded and completely his. His first and longer than he can remember. 1 year later. Saturday morning. Seoul's Mangwon market wakes up slow. Vendors arrive before the customers. They lay out persimmons and dried fish and handmade ceramics on folding tables while the air still holds the cool blue edge of early morning. By 9 the crowd has thickened. By 10 it smells like sesame and grilled rice cake, and somewhere nearby someone is selling sweet potatoes out of a cart with a foghorn of a voice. Min-jae carries the bags. This was not a rule they established. It simply happened. Aaliyah always stops to look at things and talk to vendors, and Min-jae, who does not stop for anything on a normal day, discovered months ago that he does not mind waiting. He does not mind standing with bags full of persimmons and a bundle of chrysanthemums watching Aaliyah ask a ceramics vendor about the glaze on a small blue bowl with the focused attention of someone who actually wants to know. Aaliyah wears his sunflower pin. He wears it every day still, the same way he always has, not as a statement or a symbol just because his grandmother gave it to him and it belongs on that collar. They are not loud about what they are. They do not need to be. The people who know them know. The people who don't, a passing stranger would see 2 men at a market on a Saturday, one carrying bags, one laughing at something a vendor said about the best way to eat a persimmon. Which is what they are. Also everything else. Min-jae watches Aaliyah pay for the blue bowl and wrap it carefully in the paper bag the vendor offers. He watches him thank the vendor by name. He learned it 4 weeks ago and has used it every time they've come since. He watches the vendor's face do the thing faces do when someone remembers your name. A small bright opening like a window. He thinks about the elevator. He thinks about how he stood in that small silver box and a young man with a sunflower pin and a sketchbook and a smile that appeared before he even decided to smile said, "Nice elevator, does it come with breakfast?" And Min-jae stared straight ahead and said nothing. He thinks about how close he came to never taking the regular elevator. To never keeping the sticky note. To never turning to page 47. To letting fear run the whole story from beginning to end. He thinks about the boardroom. About the silence. About Aaliyah on the floor of the apartment for 11 days not drawing. About the coffee shop after the gallery, coffees cooling between them, both of them deciding to try rather than retreat. He thinks about his grandmother's wall with the cereal box City still on it. His grandmother, who arrives every 6 months now and immediately reorganizes whatever kitchen she is standing in, and calls Min-jae that serious boy with a tone that contains, unmistakably, affection. Aaliyah turns around with the bag. He finds Min-jae watching him and gives him the look, the slightly squinting, half-amused look he gives whenever Min-jae is being quietly observant without saying so. "What are you thinking about?" "Nothing," Min-jae says. "You always say that when it's something." Min-jae shifts the bags to one arm. He reaches out and straightens Aaliyah's sunflower pin. It does not need straightening. They both know this. Aaliyah looks down at the pin. Then at Min-jae. Min-jae looks back. The market moves around them. Taxis and vendors and the foghorn sweet potato cart in Seoul in all its loud, ordinary, permanent motion. All of it continuing exactly as it would whether these two people were standing here or not. But they are. Here. So. Together. Min-jae does not look away. This time, and every time after, he does not look away. The end.